Okay, today we're going to be talking about boost, or boosting, which is about how to turn your downtime into uptime. But I want to put this in context for you. I think it's very important when we learn about effective management. You know, what's often the case is when we're trying to learn about management, we look for the next big thing, right? What's the latest bandwagon that everyone's on? What are all the other organizations doing? We should do that too. But I think that's a mistake. I think that often what makes us effective is actually going back to the basics. Right? Think about it this way. If you play golf and you develop a slice, what does the golf pro tell you to do? Does the golf pro tell you to go learn the latest new thing? No. If you're playing basketball and you lose the ability to make free throws, does your coach say, go learn the latest new thing? No, they tell you to go back to the basics, right? The basics are what's necessary to be effective. I'll give you an example of this. One of the basic fundamental management skills is recognizing that other people are not like us. It's a very natural psychological tendency for us to think that we should treat other people when we're managing them the way we would want to be treated, right? The golden rule. But that's a bad rule for management because everyone's different. And here's an anecdote from my own life about this. When I was in graduate school, there were years where I was living on $6,000 a year. Okay, after paying tuition, I had $6,000 left over to live on for the whole year. So very poor, very tough. But every now and then, I would get a little consulting job, make a little bit of extra money. And so I would share the love. I would invite some other grad students to work with me so they could make a little bit of extra money too. So there was this one guy in particular, we'll call him Brian, because that's his name. And no, it's not his name. And I approached Brian. I had this job. I approached Brian. I said, Brian, I've got this gig. You want to work on it with me? Now, I am the kind of guy who I like being very independent. Right? I like having my freedom. I like doing things the way I want to do them. So I wanted to give Brian the same freedom. So I said, Brian, I've got this job. Here's the deadline. You can work on it however you want. We'll meet a few weeks before, put our stuff together, and we'll split the funds. We'll work together. You want to do that? And he's like, no, I'm kind of busy. I don't want to do it. I was really surprised. I thought, okay, I guess he's busy. I didn't think much of it. A few months later, I get another job. So I approach Brian again and say, Brian, same deal. Here's the deadline. I'm going to give you all the freedom you want. Work on it however you see fit. We'll meet a few weeks before, put our stuff together, and we'll go do the workshop. You want to do it? No, you know, I got a lot going on, Jamie. I don't really want to do it. And then I was really just taken aback. I'm like, why is he saying this? I don't understand. I think we're friends. I think he likes me. Why is he turning me down? It really bothered me. It bothered me so much that I literally lost sleep over it. I would lie up in bed, and I'm a psychologist by training. So I would try to analyze, figure out what's going on here. And I would lie up literally in bed thinking, what am I doing wrong here? What's going on? And then it hit me. It hit me that I'm treating Brian the way I want to be treated. Right? I like a lot of freedom. I like a lot of liberty in how I approach my tasks. But if I think about how I see Brian in his classes that he takes and the work that he does, he likes a lot of structure. Right? He finds it very discomforting when there's not a lot of structure. So a few months later, another job comes in. I approach Brian, but this time I changed my strategy. I said, Brian, I've got this job. Here's the deadline. I'd like for you to work on it with me. But if you do, I need you to do A, B, and C. I need A done this way, and I need it done by this date. I need B done this way, and I need it done by this date. I need C done this way, and I need it done by this date. You want to work on it with me? And you know what he said? He said, Jamie, can't you take a hint? I don't want to work with you. No, he said yes. He said yes. This, for me, was a real wake-up call. This, for me, was a perfect example of management basics. If you want to be effective, you have to remember to go back to the basics. If you want to bring your organization to the next level of performance, you have to go back to the basics. It's not about new-fangled HR strategies. It's not what the bandwagons. It's not what everyone's getting on. If you want to, you can think of it this way. The latest, greatest, newest thing is to go back to the basics. And that's really what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about going back to the basics.